Even though the equation of building a new regular laptop might sound simple, it's actually a lot more complicated. Most of the PC makers have failed to strike the right balance except for the Dell XPS 13 lineup, which has consistently been the gold standard in the laptop world. This year too, Dell has upgraded the XPS 13 with a bunch of refreshments and also a bag of compromises to fit those changes. But are those enough to be a deal maker or a deal breaker? Coming up next on TechPP.com. Hey guys, this is Shubham from TechPP, and today we will be reviewing the Dell's new XPS 13. But before we get started, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified as soon as we post a new video. Okay, so like its predecessors, the new XPS 13 is also first and foremost all about that 13.3-inch edge-to-edge display. This time, Dell has managed to cut down even more bezels, producing a panel which looks phenomenal. It's bright, vivid, and has ample brightness if you're someone who likes to work outdoors. We had the 4K HDR variant, and truth be told, I am a little bit spoiled by it. The lack of bezels also means the XPS 13 is incredibly compact. In fact, one of my colleagues kept wondering if it's an 11-inch display. It's made out of premium materials and has a sleek, classy aesthetic that's both unique and beautiful. Speaking of the design, this XPS 13 comes with a new woven fiber coating for the keyboard area, which is also stain proof. That means if you drop, for instance, mustard on it, you can easily clean it without worrying about leaving yellowish residues. The keyboard itself is a joy to type on. Thanks to the white keys and 1.3mm of travel, my fingers naturally glided across the board. The soft, comfortable palm rest supplements that experience even more and constantly reminds you that you're operating a premium product. The trackpad is excellent as well and supports all the Windows gestures. Dell has also retained the battery indicator on the left, which is a nice touch. What it hasn't are legacy ports. The XPS 13 comes with zero traditional IOs like a USB Type-A except for a headphone jack. Instead, you get 3 USB Type-C and one of the more disappointing aspects of the laptop, a microSD card slot instead of full-size one. The XPS 13's other big highlight is the number of ways it can be unlocked with. There's your usual password and PIN of course, but the XPS 13 also features IR sensors, so it can authenticate with just your face. That's not all. A fingerprint sensor is also present under the home button. In spite of being smaller than ever, the XPS 13 comes with all the power you will need. It's powered by Intel's 8th Gen chipsets, 8 or 16 GB of RAM, 256 or 512 GB of SSD, and the integrated UHD graphics 620. Whether it's juggling between tons of Chrome tabs or streaming 4K content, the XPS 13 just flies. Of course, unless you intend to play games. There is one key area which Dell had to compromise to achieve such a compact form factor: the battery. That being said, it was easily able to reach 6 hours on a single charge, which considering the i7 processor and the 4K screen is not at all terrible. There is clearly room for improvement here, as other slightly larger laptops have managed to attain double-digit stamina. Speaking of the battery, the Type-C charger of the XPS 13 is incredibly small as well, and I cannot stress enough how convenient is it to plug from either side. With that done, let's jump into some specific questions you might have. Does it support a touchscreen? Yes, it does, but here's the interesting part. If you want a touchscreen, you would have to shell out for the 4K variant, which costs a whopping Rs 164,990. The rest of them, even the one that's priced at 1.5 lakh, don't even have a touchscreen. How awkward is the webcam? If you make a lot of video calls from your laptop, the XPS 13 is not for you. Since there is no space at the top of the screen, the webcam, like before, is situated at the bottom. During video calls, you will have to deal with that in your nose angles, and your fingers will block the view if you type. How difficult it is to live the dongle life. It's very difficult. Most of the accessories available right now are really expensive. Even the USB Type-A to Type-C costs nearly Rs 1500, which is quite a lot, although Dell is kind enough to bundle a dongle in the box. Can we get a mustard test? Of course you can. Are the speakers good? The stereo speakers are above average and are clear as well as loud, even at higher volume levels. They are even capable of producing a little bit of bass. The preloaded Max Audio Pro app lets you fine-tune its various attributes and settings too. However, I came across this rather Bluetooth bug which would skip audio at times, specifically when you pause and then play a file again. How's the gaming performance? The lack of a dedicated GPU means gaming is not the XPS 13's strong suit. Even with titles like CSGO, it was able to produce merely 30 FPS on the lowest settings, which is clearly way below average. Two of the XPS 13's Type-C ports are thankfully Thunderbolt 3 compliant, therefore you can connect it to an external GPU. Are there any heating issues? No, nothing major. The laptop does get occasionally warm, but that's entirely normal, especially given we were testing the i7 variant. Does it pass the one-hand lift test? Sadly, it didn't. The hinge is way too heavy for that, but that weight helps when you're using the touchscreen. Does the software has any unnecessary bloatware? It does have bloatware, but a lot of those apps are actually helpful. For instance, the Max Audio Pro app I mentioned earlier. There's also something called the Dell Mobile Connect, which lets you mirror and control your phone screen on the laptop. At a starting price of Rs 97,770, the Dell XPS 13 is certainly on par with the competition. And if you can live with its downsides like the micro SD card slot and average battery life and no touchscreen on the entry-level models, it's certainly worth purchasing. You can also look into the MacBook Pro if you're okay with macOS or even HP Spectre series. That's it for this video guys. Hope you guys liked it, and until the next time, may the tech be with you.